Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Daniel
With Dan Irvin.
Well, as we come to the conclusion of the book of Daniel, we see the book ending in maybe a surprising way, in a quiet way. All the dramatic visions and messengers and glimpses into the cosmic realm that Daniel has seen in his visions, he's left with a question. What will the outcome of all this be? Daniel's left wondering, how will all of this end? He says this in verse 8. He said, "I heard, but I did not understand. So I asked my Lord, what will the outcome of all of this be?" And the answer he receives, maybe it's not what he had hoped for. But the angel essentially says, Daniel, just go your way. You will rest. At the end of the days, you will rise to receive your allotted inheritance. There's no real answer given there. There's no breaking news, no timeline on how it's all going to work out. Just a call, just an invitation to be faithful, to keep walking, to go your way. Now, I know probably for a lot of us, if we're type A, like myself, I want the plan. I want to know for certain. I want some sense of control. This closing scene that I read about here in Daniel 12, I don't love it. But I think in many ways this closing scene is what we as believers of Jesus, if we have put our trust in him, is what we are called to. It's about not knowing all of the answers all the time, but it's about trusting in Jesus, who does hold the answers. When Jesus says to his disciples in the gospel accounts, "Follow me," those two very simple words, "Follow me." He's saying, not figure me out, not I'll explain every detail, not try to predict how everything will go. He just is inviting people to follow him. This is one of the most consistent things that Jesus says, but also one of the most radical things that Jesus says. If you think about how it must have landed for the original disciples, fishermen, to leave their profession, leave their families, leave it all behind, their source of income, and follow him. Tax collectors, to leave their power, their money, their place in society that they had chosen to follow him. He invited doubters and zealots to leave kind of their own mission to follow him, all to follow someone that they might not even fully understand what he was doing yet or what he was about. And Jesus invites all of us in the same way. All he gives us is himself. A few years ago, I was traveling with my wife, and we were on this trip in this wooded area. We're taking this hike. We're on this this path. There was no real cell phone service, to map out where we were going. Just some trail markers, and we had a map, which we couldn't really fully understand. The maps weren't great, and we started to get a little like, okay, are we going the right way? Are we going to turn down the wrong path here? And we found somebody on our hike that looked like they had done a few hikes before, especially maybe in this area. And so we kind of asked them like, hey, are we going the right direction? And they said, oh yeah, you're good. Just keep following this trail. I walk it all the time. Go this way. I know this trail like the back of my hand. And that kind of changed our hike, our perspective. We suddenly didn't need the whole map. We didn't need to understand all of it. But all we had to do was trust and lean into the person who had already walked down that path. They gave us the way. And that's essentially, I think, what Daniel 12 is trying to point us to, what Jesus is trying to point us to. We don't have to understand the whole map. We don't have to understand the whole mountain. But if we can walk, if we can trust Jesus, who has already been down that road, we can follow him. He's been there. He doesn't just call us to follow him, but he actually went ahead of us. He entered into suffering, into death, into the darkness of the unknown, to be buried, and then to rise from the dead. He's the only one to know what that is like, to conquer death in that way. And now he sits with God the Father. So when Jesus says, "Follow me," he's inviting us into a place that is good, that is full of hope. We may not always know what tomorrow brings, but we can know that Jesus holds tomorrow and that he is enough. We don't have to live in fear. We don't have to know every outcome. We can trust, we can follow the one who knows and who loves us.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.